हेलो एवरीवन एंड वेलकम बैक टू नॉलेज नेस्ट। आज हम पढ़ेंगे एनसीईआरटी का चैप्टर 3 विच इज एग्रीकल्चर। In this chapter we study about agriculture, types of farming, major crops, farms in India and farms in USA. Agriculture. What is agriculture? The word agriculture is derived from Latin word ager or agri meaning soil and culture meaning cultivation. Agriculture is a primary activity that includes growing crops, fruits, vegetables, flowers, and rearing livestock. Two-thirds of India's population is dependent on agriculture. Climate and favorable soil topography are vital for any agricultural activity. The land on which we grow crops is known as arable land. Different types of economic activity. Before going in detail, let us discuss primary, secondary, and tertiary activities. Primary activities includes all those activities connected to the extraction and production of natural resources. Secondary activities are concerned with the processing of natural resources like manufacturing steel, weaving of cloth, etc. Tertiary activities provide support to primary and secondary sectors. Transport, trade, banking, insurance, etc. are examples of tertiary activities. Did you know? Agriculture is the science and art of cultivation on the soil, raising crops and rearing livestock. It is also known as farming. Sericulture is the commercial rearing of silkworm. It may supplement to the income of the farmer. Pisciculture is the breeding of fish in specially constructed tanks and ponds. Viticulture is the cultivation of grapes, and horticulture is the growing of vegetables, flowers, and fruits for commercial use. Farm system. Agricultural farming can be looked at as a system. Seeds, fertilizers are important inputs. Plowing, sowing, irrigation, weeding, and harvesting are some of the operations involved in agriculture. The output from the system includes crops, wool, dairy, and poultry products. Types of farming. Farming can be divided into two types, subsistence and commercial. Subsistence farming has two types, intensive and primitive. Primitive can be broken down into shifting and nomadic herding. Commercial farming has grain farming, mixed farming, and plantation agriculture as their subtopics. Subsistence farming. Subsistence farming is practiced to meet the daily needs of the farmer. A low level of technology and household labor is used to produce on small output. It can be further divided into intensive subsistence farming and primitive subsistence farming. Intensive subsistence farming. Intensive subsistence agriculture is practiced in thickly populated Southeast and East Asia. Farmers cultivate small plots of land with the help of simple tools. Rice, wheat, maize, pulse, and oilseeds are a few examples of intensive subsistence agriculture. Primitive subsistence farming. Primitive subsistence farming includes shifting cultivation and nomadic herding. In shifting cultivation, the land is cleared by felling the trees and burning them. The ashes are then mixed with soil and crops like maize, yam, potato, and cassava are grown. After the soil loses its fertility, the land is abandoned and the cultivator moves to another plot. This is known as slash and burn agriculture. In northeast India, it is also called jhum. In Mexico, it is known as milpa. For Brazilians, it is roca, and in Malaysia, it is called ladang. Nomadic herding. In this type of farming, herdsmen move from place to place with their animals for food and water along defined routes. Camel and goats are mostly reared. They provide milk, meat, and other products to herders and their families. It is practiced in semi-arid and arid regions of the Sahara Desert, Central Asia, and some parts of India like Rajasthan and Jammu Kashmir. Commercial farming. In commercial farming, crops and livestock are raised to sell products on a market for a profit. Commercial farms are large farms and require huge capital investment. Most of the work is done by machine. In commercial grain farming, crops like wheat and maize are grown for commercial purposes. In mixed farming, the land is used for growing food and fodder crops and rearing livestock. It is practiced in Europe, Argentina, New Zealand, eastern parts of USA and South Africa. Plantation agriculture. In plantation agriculture, single crops of tea, coffee, sugarcane, rubber, cotton, cashew or banana are grown. It requires large amount of labor and capital. Produce may be processed on the farm itself or in nearby factories. Major plantations are found in tropical regions of the world like rubber in Malaysia, coffee in Brazil, tea in India and Sri Lanka. Let us look at some major crops. Rice, beets, millets, maize, cotton, jute, coffee and tea are some of the major crops grown in different parts of the world. Let's see the climates required for the major crops. Rice, high temperature, humidity and rainfall and alluvial clay soil is required for the perfect growth of rice. They are mostly grown in China and India, specifically the part of West Bengal. For wheat, moderate temperature and rainfall, loamy soil is required. USA, Canada, and Argentina are the highest maximum producers of wheat. Millet requires a sandy soil, low rainfall, and high moderate temperature. They are grown in India, Nigeria, and China. Corn requires moderate temperature and rainfall and lots of sunlight. They are grown in loamy soil found in North America, Brazil, and China. For cotton, high temperature, light rainfall, and 210 frost-free days and bright sunlight is required. They are grown in black and alluvial soil. China, USA, and India are the leading producers of cotton. For jute, high temperature, heavy rainfall, and humid climate are required and it is grown in alluvial soil. They are mostly processed in India and Colombia. For tea, cool climate, well distributed, high rainfall throughout the year. They are grown in loamy soil, mostly produced in Kenya, India, and China. What is agricultural development? Agricultural development refers to irrigation facilities, mechanization of agriculture, use of fertilizers, etc. to increase farm production in order to meet the growing demand of the increasing population. Its aim is to increase food security, which means people must have access to sufficient safe and nutritious food to meet their needs. Farms in India versus USA. The case study of farms in both India and USA has been discussed in NCERT. It mentions that a small farmer purchases a high-yielding variety of seeds and grows at least 2 crops a year in his fertile land. He uses a tractor on rent to plow his field and uses the water of tube well available in the nearby field. So basically he uses traditional methods of agriculture and sells the produce in nearby mandi. Whereas a farmer in the USA has a much bigger farm. He grows corn in his field with the help of a much developed resources like computers, etc. In fact, they have automated grain storage. So they have better resources than what is available to Indian farmers. Now let us look at the exercise questions of NCERT. What is agriculture? The word agriculture is derived from the Latin word agri meaning soil and culture meaning cultivation. Agriculture is the science and art of farming on the soil, raising crops and rearing livestock. Name the factors influencing agriculture. Soil, climate, and topography are the few factors that influence agriculture. What is shifting cultivation? Shifting cultivation, also known as slash and burn agriculture, is practiced in thickly forested areas of Amazon basin, tropical Africa, and parts of Southeast Asia and Northeast India. In this type of farming, a plot of land is cleared by cutting and burning the trees. The ashes are then mixed with soil and crops like maize, gram, and yam are grown. After the soil loses its fertility, the land is abandoned and the farmer moves to a new plot. What are the disadvantages of shifting cultivation? It leads to soil erosion, loss of fertility, causes air pollution, and leads to deforestation. What is plantation agriculture? Plantation agriculture is a type of commercial farming where single crops of tea, coffee, sugarcane, cashew, rubber, or banana are grown. It requires a large amount of labor and capital. The products may be produced on the farm or in nearby factories. Major plantations are found in tropical regions of the world. Name the fiber crop and climatic conditions required for their growth. Cotton and jute are fiber crops. The climatic conditions required for the growth of jute are high temperature, heavy rainfall, and a humid climate. It grows well on alluvial soil. India and Bangladesh are the leading producers of jute. For the growth of cotton, high temperature, light rainfall, bright sunlight, and 210 frost-free days are required. It grows best on black and alluvial soil. China, USA, and India are leading producers. Take the correct answer. Horticulture means the growing of fruits and vegetables. Jute is known as the golden fiber, and the leading producer of coffee is Brazil. Give reasons. Agriculture is a primary activity in India. Two-thirds of India's population is dependent on agriculture because many regions have fertile land, favorable topography, soil and climate which is favorable for agriculture. Since India is a densely populated country, it requires large-scale production of food to meet the requirements of people. Different crops are grown in different regions. Different crops are grown in different regions because the production of crops depend on the type of climate, amount of rainfall, favorable topography, technology, and labor. Differentiate between primary and tertiary activities. Primary activities include all the activities connected with extraction and production of natural resources such as agriculture, fishing, and gathering, whereas tertiary activities are those which provide support to the primary and secondary sectors through services like transport, trade, banking, and insurance, etc. Subsistence farming and intensive farming. Subsistence farming is a type of farming that is done by farmer for personal consumption. It involves low level of technology and household labor. Whereas in intensive farming, the farmer cultivates a small plot of land using simple tools and more labor. Rice, maize, wheat are a few examples. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to like and subscribe.